I am sitting here with one of my good friends, Midge Purce, who we were former teammates and we're really good friends. Welcome to the show, and thank you for your time. How are you? How's life? How's recovery going?
Things are great. We are talking in the midst of Fashion Week, so
I see you're doing the absolute most.
I'm trying to. Exhausted, happy exhausted, a happy exhaustion. Yes.
So I understand, like, obviously this season didn't go, the way that you had assumed it would, especially after getting, NWSL championship game MVP, winning the championship. And I was so honored and lucky to have won that alongside you. It was one of the best years, I think, for soccer for me personally, and just sharing the field with you, game in and game out, was incredible. So I know that this injury, was a bit of a setback, but how's the return to play coming? And, what are your expectations for the rest of this year for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it's a 9-month injury that you're out for a long time. And I think with that comes a bit of peace in the sense where you just have to accept you are out for the entire year. Whereas sometimes when you have a hamstring or a smaller injury, it's a couple months, you're just fighting so hard to get back. But I do have the luxury of knowing that I don't have a time clock on it. Mm-hmm. And it really is just me versus me and nothing else. And so I'm enjoying it. I'm having a good time focusing on the details and making sure that I'm taking care of every little thing that I need to become a better version of what I was when I left.
Yeah, I think that's such a good perspective, right? You kind of have to change perspective a little bit, and your job kind of shifts, from like a 9 to 5. You're in recovery, you're getting back out on the field, you're doing all the proper steps. But what's something specific that, with this time kind of away from football, that you learned about yourself?
I've learned that recently when I do interviews and stuff, I will give the market media answer that I know people want to hear. And I'm like, it's not true. So I'm just going to give you the truth.
Or give me the opposite. Okay.
I'm going to give you the opposite. That's not going to be great for Kim. So the truth is, I feel like a lot of people, they tell me, oh my gosh, you're going to learn so much about yourself when you tear your ACL. It's like this whole internal existentialist crisis that you have where you find yourself. And that has not been my experience.
You're like, I'm actually having the most amazing time away. Okay.
No, I'm just like, I think because of maybe my upbringing or just how blessed I am with the type of family and friends I have, kind of like you, and I think about all the things you've told me over the past few years. Like, I've never thought my whole identity was in soccer. So the fact that something happened to a dream of mine, obviously the Olympics are this year. Obviously, like, I had a lot of personal goals that I wanted to accomplish, and those are heartbreaking. Like, I literally choke when I think about it, and it hurts physically somehow. But no, I'm okay, and I'm enjoying the journey, and I'm enjoying the first year, and since I can remember, where I haven't had soccer dictate every little thing in my schedule.
Right, and I understand. We always say this, that football is what we do, is not who we are. So being a multifaceted athlete and having other passions is like extremely important. And for you specifically, I mean, you blow me away with like your businesswoman mentality and just how you want to influence others and impact others. More specifically, I want to touch on the BWPC and your role on that board and as a co-founder, and what really interested in you. And what really interests you in starting that?
Wow. Well, my interest in starting that came from a lot of authentic drive in the sense that it came out of 2020 when COVID was hitting, when George Floyd and Breonna Taylor occurred. And, I don't even think it was just the country that was in this disarray and had this crazy public discourse and controversy over the role of race in America, but it became kind of this global conversation about race. And, the truth of what happened is a lot of the Black players came together and we said that this is not a time for conversation anymore. It's not a time where we're trying to persuade people to believe or understand the experience or the perspective that we hold. Like it's not really important anymore. It's not a priority to explain. The most important thing is to make sure that others who are sharing the same experience and do share that perspective are taken care of in ways that we didn't necessarily feel like we were. So in terms of exposure, in terms of access, in terms of role models, and in terms of inspiration, that's kind of where it came from. And I was originally the executive director. My bandwidth has become thin since 2020, and I have stepped down as executive. And I have stepped down as executive director, and we've hired a new executive director, Athea, and she's absolutely fantastic. And I just serve on the board.
Amazing. It's just incredible work. And I can see the impact not only within the league, but just, around the fan base too, and the supporters that are really excited about it. But what skills specifically, speaking about, being involved in a board and organizations and startups, what skills have you actually acquired throughout your career that have helped you, transition into this business?
Oh my gosh.
Off the field. Like what drives you to engage, in this type of work that really positively impacts, other people?
So service to me has always been important. And I think that in women's soccer, we've always had a culture where it was, you need to progress the sport for people behind you. And not necessarily out of the goodness of our hearts that it didn't come from, but it came from a necessity, because there's no other way that this sport would continue if the players didn't take it upon themselves to be selfless. We didn't have the luxury of being selfless. But to my core principles and my core beliefs, I really do think my purpose, like as a human, as a part of society, is to help someone else. And I think that's like a core operating principle.
I love that about you so much, because not everyone thinks that way. You just kind of play the sport and you're like, oh, I love this game so much. I'm passionate about it. But it's like, okay, well, what else can we use our platforms for to change and to fight for good?
Ali, you definitely, I will say, in the short time we've played together, even though I've known you for a lot longer, your rhetoric on how important it is to give back to like the younger players, to the younger generations, the examples we're setting. I think it's really easy to get caught up in the, okay, we're playing, I'm locked in, this is what I do, I'm cool, I'm a professional athlete. But you have been really, really good at like centering, not just obviously myself, not just our team, but I think literally the whole soccer culture, and reminding of that. So, bravo to you. I'm really not that sweet. It's just true.
You are. She's telling the truth, everyone, okay? But now something really fun that's like so exciting, and I can't wait to watch this. You have now produced this show called Off Season, and I think it's incredible. I think it's going to be amazing, and I hope for just women in sports, and then just the fans and supporters who want to like tune in and really dial in on players and what they do off the field as well. I think is extremely important. So what do you hope that viewers will gain from this show? And, what makes sports story compelling to you?
Okay, I'll answer the first question. There's two kind of audiences, I guess, that I'm targeting, which is not the way you're supposed to approach things. But one, there's this already existing soccer community, and they were not my target audience when I created the show. I said, we have you, we love you, we're glad you're here. This really is to grow the game and expand this type of content and basically sport universe to a more, I guess the right word is standard viewership or just like general viewer. So we're targeting women and girls who like watch Real Housewives, who don't watch sports, and trying to make it more digestible for them to enter this space. So I'm really excited about that. But at the same time, I'm sure you're familiar with how young girls are dropping out of sport at a very young age, and how those deleterious effects are just pervasive, like throughout the country, not even just in women's soccer, but in general. And my hope is that this is something that it makes the soccer community stronger. in the sense where now you have a lower barrier to entry in order to engage with the sport. And now maybe like soccer doesn't seem so scary. I don't need to have to be a professional athlete. I can just actually watch the show and say, oh, I actually know a couple of athletes. She's cool. I want to play soccer. Like I want to play it on a very low, chill scale. I like the culture of it. I'm watching the show, and now I know a bunch of other people who watch the show, and now we have this like community that's built around something that's in pop culture, and it's being presented to us in a way that isn't orthodox. And so the whole point is to bring in people in a new way, and I'm really excited because I don't think it's been done yet.
No, and I think you've like entered a whole new chat. Like this is amazing, and it also makes women's football also like more fun too. Like you can see that, oh, so like I don't want to stop playing because I could also be having fun. It's not just really difficult and really hard to show up and be your best every day, but outside of that, you can also enjoy it and laugh and have fun and then bring that into the play, which I think is really cool that you're portraying that.
And that's one of the cool things because you get to see the interpersonal relationships between all the players. And obviously, you know, Taylor's one of my girls.
Shout out
T Smith. But I mean, episode 4, we get into it. And like, I've known Taylor since I was like 15, and we're like really, really good friends. And you see that relationship, and you see me and Ify, you see Kelly and Ify, and then like meeting Maria. I didn't know her before this entire show, so it's really cool to see that. But it's honestly, it's even cooler. You see these personal relationships, you see these interactions, and then after you can go watch the games. So you go into the Indoor Cell and you watch these games, and you have this context and foundation for understanding what's happening. I can't tell you how many people from the crew. There was one tackle that happened this year from someone in the house on someone else in the house, and the entire crew texted me and they said, "We know exactly why that happened." And I'm like, "You see now, you're engaged. You understand. You're bought in." And so, like even they're like, "We're obsessed with Inversell now." Like Maria got traded. Oh no, is she okay? What about Paige? And so it just makes it really easy to fall in love with the sport, and like story and narrative is, in my opinion, the best way.
So is that how you see like the role of media evolving, you know, with athletes, and like that athletes, you know, can use this now in a positive way to influence their own careers?
Absolutely. I think the power has always been there, and I think a lot of people use it really well. I think the problem is that in women's sports, we've been really derivative of men. And even just in America, we've been really derivative of Europe, especially in soccer. So I think that the problem has been the methodology, that we don't lean into player stories. We expect women to sell based off exclusively performance and statistics. And that's like, for whatever reason, that's just like what men can do. Like my dad can listen to a baseball game and like listen. He's not even watching. He's listening. And it's like, man hit ball. And he's like, yes, like this is amazing. And I'm like, well, who's the man? And why do I care that he hit the ball? But
have you seen that?
Yeah. Like why is it so exciting? But like with women, I'm like, I want to know where she's from. I want to know her story. I want to know like, why should I care that she's hitting the ball? And now I'm invested like in the sport. So I think this version, this format of storytelling is going to go really well. And I'm excited because we're expanding. So that's really fun.
Well, speaking of your dad, shifting gears a little bit, because we know family, you know, is unmatched just in the support, just at the level that we play at. It's so important and critical that we have people who we can lean on. And I know that you have such an amazing relationship with your dad. So can you just tell me what kind of impact he's had, not only in your personal life, but also just professionally, and how he's really helped you kind of get to where you are now?
Honestly, again, one of those not great media answers, or maybe it will be. The best thing my dad has done is he's just been my dad. And I think that's so rare these days in sports. I think a lot of parents are either celebrated or expected, or just naturally go into this coach mode, and they get so invested in the success of their kid. And it's all out of love because they want the best for them. But my dad has just been my dad, and he's just rooting for me and loves me in spite of anything that I do related to soccer. And I think that's probably also a big reason why my ACL tear, like I didn't have this identity crisis, because Like I always say my boys because my family is made of just men. My core family. It's my dad, it's my brother, and then it's now I consider Chris my family. Chris is my boyfriend. Hi, Chris. And that's my family. And so my boys, they couldn't care less about how I do in soccer. They care because I care.
Yeah.
And that makes it a lot easier.
Well, he's done such an amazing job. I only think I met your dad like once or twice. Like he's kind of always just like he's there, he's there, he's supporting, and he doesn't have to be like
He's shy.
I know.
It's
and I
so
think
crazy.
we're kind of the same in that way. Like I'm very shy too. On the field, I'm a different human being, but
and when you know someone,
yeah,
you guys are really similar. That said, he's so shy, but then when you get him, he's like wild. And that's like, yeah, he's like, let me tell you something.
So you were shifting gears to the board of trustees and being elected in, board of overseers. Yeah, okay. I had that written down, but
it's okay. It's really Harvard likes to
off the record.
It can be on the record. Keep it on the record.
Harvard, we're gonna have to.
They like Harvard likes to develop their own vernacular.
Okay. Listen, I get it.
They're
allowed. They're allowed.
Yeah.
No, but being elected to the board of overseers at Harvard in 2020, how has serving on the board shaped your perspective on leadership as a professional athlete?
I actually say the opposite relationship. Being an athlete has largely influenced my perspective on leadership on the board. Just in terms of how to lead. I think like one of the things that I think it's overlooked even in any environment, any like business environment, and sports are a business, is that, you're making decisions on behalf of people, but people forget to ask the people. And it's the most simple thing because sometimes, and I'm not speaking about any club in particular, I've played for multiple clubs, so don't, multiple clubs, so don't take a guess. They're like, well, should we do this? We should do this. And like, ask someone, like just call.
Yeah.
And that I think has been one of my biggest contributions to the board, where they're making decisions for a lot of the students. And I'm like, well, why don't we just ask the students? Like we could literally walk outside and pull a student and say, well, what do you think? What do you want? And I think that has been a really, really critical part of leadership that I have brought. Yeah.
I also agree with you because not only is asking, but also listening is so key when you're in leadership roles. And not a lot of leaders or many leaders tend to do that very often. And you have to actually hear people. And I think that's in any setting, whether you're on the board, whether you're in on the athletic field or on the court, like just listening to your teammates and people around you, I think is also key. But you seem to excel in leadership roles. Do you enjoy, leading a group of people or a team? And what do you think? Like, what leadership roles do you think are essential for you to find success within a group of individuals?
It's really interesting because obviously there have been positions that I've held that have been leadership roles, but I don't show up and I'm like, I'm a leader. So I think it's a weird.
Sometimes you have to be empowered to be that too.
Yeah. Or just like, I need to be like, okay, this is my official role and title. Because otherwise I'm just like here and just saying whatever I think and speaking whenever I would like to speak. What was your question?
So just, what leadership qualities are essential in your opinion to, whether that's in sport or just leading a group of individuals to maintain, a high level of performance?
You know what I'll
define success.
I will take from one of, I think, the most prolific leaders of our generation, Nick Saban, and I'll go with empathy.
Yeah.
When I was at the ESPYs, he gave this incredible speech, and it was not even about sport. It was about, can you just every day take a moment and help someone else? And it was thinking of other people besides yourselves, consideration. Considering what other people are going through. And I was just like, that has to be if not the number one, the big three of of leadership, or honestly, just being a good person.
I love that. I think just making connections too with individuals, asking people, just like you said, what can I do for you? Or what do you need today in order to be your best? Or how can I help you be that?
Absolutely. I won't tell you who it was, but someone on the team was asking for boy advice. And as you know, if you need some advice with men, you gotta come to me.
You're like, listen, you got an hour? I'm ready.
Come here, young blood. Let me talk to you. Anyway, so long story short, she was asking me about this guy, this decision that he made, like she wanted to make a different decision that considered her. And I was like, I do believe consideration is one of the highest forms of love. Mm-hmm. Like to always be considered with every decision. And I was like, and he's not considering you. Mm-hmm. So he clearly, anyway, that's not important. Consideration.
Consideration, empathy, listening, hearing, asking, I should say. Asking.
Yeah. So short of
So with all of these fun, passionate projects that you have on top of, your professional soccer career, how do you manage all the demands of these projects that you're working on, including showing up every day to do, the job that has really helped you gain this confidence to do all the other things as well?
I don't. Oh yeah, I need an executive assistant.
Okay, we need.
No, I'm kidding.
We're hiring.
No, I didn't yet.
There's so many duties. How do you maintain?
There are.
How do you maintain it all?
I definitely. It's interesting. So right now, I just have very clear priorities. So like right now, with all the things I've been doing, number one still is and will always be right now my rehab and like getting back. Like there's nothing, there's no call, no meeting, nothing that will supersede that. And then after that, it's like launching the show. It's the off season, and then it's like any other ancillary things that I'm pursuing. But I think just having clear priorities makes it really, really easy to make decisions and just being disciplined in those things. And I also think that I also love what I do. So that makes it really easy. Like we're so blessed in the sense where my job is to play a game. Mm-hmm. It's to compete and win and be excellent at things. And even when you're failing at doing that, you are still growing towards that excellence. So it's just this really, really privileged position that we're in all the time. And I just want to maximize it and enjoy all of it while I'm still in it.
Absolutely. It's such a good perspective, because when you're loving what you do, it's so cliche to say, right? And you're enjoying it, you're actually giving your full self.
Yeah.
And then in turn, everyone's getting the best out of you, whether that be your teammates or your coaches or the federation and so on and so forth. It's exciting that you find something that you're really passionate about and that you can excel in just because you really love it. But looking at, your diverse career up until this point, because there's still many more years to go, what impact do you hope to continue to make in soccer, media, and also obviously with the board education?
I hate to be cliche. You know what I'm going to say. I definitely... obviously, I want to leave things better than I find them. Like, absolutely. Mm-hmm. I think would be even better than that would be if I was able to make a really, really easy pathway for someone to do what I want to do if they're interested in it. Mm-hmm. But make it just so much easier for them and make it more accessible and feasible for whatever lifestyle. And even if that's like directly working with me or doing something, I would hope that I could like make a little pave a little way for someone. Yeah.
I just love your maturity and confidence. And I mean, I don't know if people really know, but I met you when you was it a senior in high school? Or were you a freshman? 2013. Let's just put it.
I was a senior,
and I awarded you the best player. I think it was the best metropolitan. Mm-hmm. All metropolitan area. If you're not familiar, we're from the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia. and we grew up in the same area. And so I came back, and I presented you with an amazing award, which I was like so lucky to do. And it was such an honor. And to see you now evolve into the person you are is like so incredible. And I knew that. I was like, she's gonna be something. Not only did I think that because you came from the same area as I did, and I was always rooting for you. But that was your national team. Like, you were one of the best young players. And I saw that in you, and I saw that drive. And not many players have that drive at such a young age. And so,
let's not get emotional. Not on camera.
I know, but I mean, not only are your achievements on the field remarkable, because I saw you in training every single day and in games, and you just impressed me just, with your performances and just the person you are. I know how good of a human you are. But the way you lead, your life and all the initiatives that you're involved with and all the projects off the field, you're making such a huge impact. And it's been tremendous to watch. And it's been an honor to know you. This year, I was so happy just to lean on you for so many other things. And we, I think, formed a true bond that I'll forever be grateful for. So before we end, though, and I'm getting mushy now, but I think the world of you. And I can't wait to continue to support you and watch what you, do next, because I know it'll be thriving. But I have Krieger's Corner, and it's like a fireside chat. So I just want...
Sorry, we got really deep, and I love you too.
I know, thanks. So first question, what's your favorite day of the week?
Friday.
Why?
Because you have all of Saturday. And it's like you can be the wildest on Friday. Like, you can do whatever you want on Friday because you have so much of the weekend. It's like the happiest point.
And then Sunday, you're like...
I know.
Saturday night, you're like...
Even Saturday night, you're like, Sunday's tomorrow. I gotta get ready for things. Like, tomorrow's Saturday.
How many Harvard secrets do you know and have been sworn not to tell?
What's your next question?
In 3 words, how would your dad describe you?
I can do 2. The best. That man loves
ever.
Me.
The best,
the best
ever.
Papa first loves him.
He's amazing. I want to see him again. We gotta hang out. Okay, so if you could whisper in the ear to your younger self, what would you say? In this moment, in this exact moment.
The same thing I say when anyone asks for advice. I would say run your own race. I would say literally keep your eyes, but don't look at everyone. Don't worry about what other people are doing.
Wow, that's so good. That's a good one. What's one topic that you could talk hours about?
I'm a yapper, so anything. Pay discrimination.
That's the most important right now.
Fashion, the lack of investment from the fashion and beauty community into women's sports, because that's $1 billion industry and I don't really understand why it's not here.
We need to start crossing paths with that, for sure. Changing lanes. We need to start.
They're dabbling, but
they are, but not enough.
It could be bigger, yeah. And food. I'm a foodie. I can talk about food forever.
What's your favorite time of day and why?
Early afternoon, maybe 1:30 through 3.
It feels like a Friday too, so the rest of the day isn't yet.
Yes, yeah. For the same reason, it's just we're so close, and I'm gonna have the whole rest of the night, and I can do whatever I want. What am I at 1 o'clock? I'm like, what's for dinner? What am I gonna eat for dinner? Yeah,
I love not that you asked me, but I love the morning time before 11. Once it hits 11 a.m., I'm like, the day's starting to be done. Because I feel with kids, I'm up so early.
Okay, well, yeah, you have children.
By the time 10 hits, I'm like, all right, it's lunch.
You have lived 2 lives by 11 a.m.
Also, the lighting outside, I know. But the lighting, you can have your coffee and you can just chill.
I think I like morning time when I'm traveling alone and I don't have anything till the evening, where it's yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Where I'm just where's my tea?
Yeah, just...
Where's the tea? It's just me.
Well, Midge, thank you so much.
Thank you.